All right, cool stuff. So, welcome everyone. Today is our week 5, and then we're covering family planning and long-term security. I basically just call it family planning and long-term security, but it's pretty much just focusing around insurance and wills, and also building of like a legacy. And as basically my culture, what I do is I just commit it into the hands of God before we start. So that's what it is. So Father Lord, we thank you, we give you praise. We ask that Lord, you lead, you guide, and you direct our path tonight. We surrender all before your presence. We ask that you guide us through this session and let your wisdom be granted unto us in Jesus' mighty name. Amen. All right, cool. So I think we're going to be like uh sonic fast. Let me put it that way. We don't need to take much of our time. All right, cool. So as the topic is family planning and long-term security. So we'll move on to the next phase. I don't need to really introduce myself again. I think I've done that phase 1, phase 2, phase 3, phase 4. And this is phase 5 as it is. But I'll still kind of give a little bit of who I am. So my name is Michael Tamarabi RG. So I'm a business analyst 9 to 5. And what I do is also I train more of like an instructor, financial education instructor, and I run the Seed Finance. So that's the website down there. And then if you want to connect with me on Twitter, on X, that's my handle. So the workshop, basically, the objective for this session, as I said, we're focusing on wills, insurance, and also financial stability using wills and insurance. So by the end of this session, I try to come up with just basically two sharp objectives instead of having 3 or 5 or so other cases, but all sits within these two. One is to understand how to protect wealth with insurance and inheritance planning. 2 is to build a lasting wealth mindset for generational stability. They are all more of like big grammars, but we'll kind of see it as it unfolds. All right, cool. So the first point of call is this, and I think this session is going to be very, very interactive because these are things over time we've tried to run away from, be it as a religious belief, or be it as a cultural belief, or be it based on ignorance. And I think the third one is actually the case over time, and the two led to the third one. Both religious, cultural belief led to the level of ignorance that is the system is actually battered with, because we're looking at it from our perspective, from Africa's perspective, and showing more context around Nigeria as it is, but it's kind of replicated. You can replicate it in other cash-based society across Africa and some other parts of the continent, or other continents. Let me put it that way. So if you look at this food for thought, imagine a family where the father suddenly falls ill. It can be the mother, right? So father, mother, parents. No insurance, no emergency fund, school fees are due. That's for the ones still training their kids or their ward. Now, the panic is not just financial. It's also emotional. It's also psychological. It is also spiritual. Whichever way you want to, it's also mental. But what I decided to do is just to limit it to these two, right? Because that's the reality for too many Nigerian families. And that addresses issues regarding Uganda, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Congo, whichever way you want to look at it. It's not limited to just the country that I mentioned, but I'm using it as a point of reference. Now, the truth about family and money. There is no way families don't face unpredictable income, medical bills, or whatsoever the case situation might be, one way or the other. And there is this constant urgent, borrow me, give me, lend me, raise me, give me is actually the most common, which is the black tax. Oh, give me and give me and give me. but they wouldn't really know what you are going through, right? But they just want to get from you. Now, most families survive, but very few plan for tomorrow. And that's the area we're basically trying to address. The ability to plan for the future. Because if you think about it, we talk about the future, right? The future, the future, the future. 10 years ago, we were talking about the future. Now, this is 10 years after. What have we been able to come up with? But we talk about the future. So the future is just the tomorrow we are about to experience. However, do we in any way or form or think about putting that tomorrow into plans? And that's that area that I said we're going to be addressing. Now look at this context. Mr. A, Mrs. B, two different people, two different households, right? Mr. A gets paid, earns money, spends everything, and then goes into debt, right? Mrs. B, another family, saves and invests, and then stays at peace. It doesn't mean that all the time it's going to be that way. But however, if one put those structures kind of in place, the tendency that you find yourself at the place of peace, the probability is high. It's pretty much one, right? On both sides. If you spend everything, the probability of finding yourself at a place of peace is the probability is pretty much zero. So both ways, either 0 or 1. But if you find yourself in such situations, where would you want to be? Which of the scale would you want to be? Anyone? It's an interactive session. So where would you want to be on these two sides? So why did you choose B? Anyone?
There's peace. There's peace.
Why is there peace? Sometimes you see rich people, they kill themselves. Why? And you can see someone who is in debt that is at peace with himself or herself.
So, someone who is in debt cannot be at peace. So.
You'll be surprised. I'm giving you reality, context from a reality point of view. Many people are in debt and they sleep properly, like they sleep well.
Yes.
You know, so it's about context, right? If you have a good debt, right? A good debt, and then the debt is huge, you wouldn't really be too pressed, but the banks will be so pressed. The banks will be running after you and be looking at ways you're going to pay it back. How about that? But if you're owing something small, they'll chase you up with everything. They'll destroy your credit score and everything. But if you're owing something big, they want to discuss with you and see how you're doing, how you're going to pay the money back, because they'll be in a very bad place, because you place them in a very bad spot. So, but in debt is not a good option, right? At peace is basically the best option. So let's move on. I'm just giving the context so you can see it from two different lenses, right? Now look at this illustration. Two neighbors earn 400,000 naira each, like monthly. Now that was the reason why I decided to show the visual point of view first, and then looking at it in terms of when you break down the numbers. Now, Mr. A spends everything, hoping to sort things out later. You know, we have many of our people like that, people that we know individually. They just earn and they just spend. When you tell them to put caution to something, they will tell you, don't worry. I'll sort it in next month. I'll sort it in 2 months' time. But look at Mrs. B, saves 10% of her earnings, right? Which is 40,000 for emergencies, Then put 30,000 into school fees goals. Let's say, for example, the school fees for our children is maybe 2 children. I'm just context based, right? Is maybe annually is maybe 600,000 or something, or let's say 400,000 for the 2 kids, or 300,000 for the 2 kids. Now it means 150, right? And then she started saving basically about 30,000 of our earnings, which is about 7.55%, into the goal, because she's created that account to handle school fees. So when the money comes through savings, smart savings, and then it's pulled into that, she's saving towards the school fees that she's going to pay at the end of the year. I don't know if you get the context. So just from that point of view, that means she's got an understanding of what she needs to do based on where she is, and then when she's going to do the things she's planned to do. So this is just a context. The money is not, it's just a fictitious money, right? Just a context. Now, 1 year later, Mr. A is in debt, Mrs. B is at peace. So let's move on. Now, how do you prepare for emergencies without debt? We discussed this during our budgeting session, which was week 2. How you set up emergency fund to be able to address unforeseen circumstances, which everyone goes through. No one is an island when it comes to this. The tendency that this will happen is high. Some things will come up that you never planned, and then you have to, or you are placed in a position to address those things. So, but if the knowledge is kind of there and you decide to like discipline yourself and start saving towards that, you can get that addressed. So let's look at it from each steps, right? We start from step 1. Now, how to prepare for emergencies without debt. 1, you calculate your expenses, and then you determine your monthly expenses to set a saving goal. So if you're setting money aside for emergency fund, right, and then you're thinking of maybe saving about maybe 3 to 6 months of your earnings, of your expenses. So let's say your expenses is 200,000 naira, depending on what your currency is in Uganda. I think you use Ugandan shillings, right, Madam Ito?
Yes. Yes.
So let's say, for example, in Uganda, it's 500 Ugandan shillings that you spend on a monthly basis. It means you're planning, you set up a goal to save at least maybe 3 months. Then if you can do up to 6 months, at least you'll be in a good place. Just in case something happens, you can fall back to the money. That means you can still live within the household, not under serious pressure within that period of time, at least for like 3 months. But that means for you to be able to save 3 months of your earnings, it means that you have to look into your income, and then from your income, you have to structure out how much you basically you try to save to be able to cover the minimum 3 months funds that can take care of emergencies just in case something happens. So when you hit the 3 months target, you can now say, okay, let me see if I can take it to 6 months. Some people, they have 12 months, they have a year, 2 years emergency funds saved. Those are the proper ultra anxious set of people. They have like 2 years money saved just to take care of emergencies, So, but minimum, looking at least maybe like 3 months. We know issues and situations and people's conditions and whatever the issue is there. However, everyone's case cannot be the same. But that's the reason why they try to like push people to see as much as they can to be able to address maybe like 3 months, so that before they get into maybe another job or whatever, they take their time to, at least maybe within 3 months, they can probably be in a good place before they start, falling behind maybe their payments or whatsoever the case is, or their monthly expenses instead of taking care of the house. Now, if you move on to the step 2, you save gradually. So consistently save a portion of your income over time. 3rd is to store safely, meaning you keep your emergency fund in a secure, accessible account. I was in a program this week. I was meant to be in the program actually today. The program was organized by Rob Moore. You can check him out. Rob Moore, ROBMOORE. He's actually someone who I take as a mentor. He doesn't hold anything back. He's straightforward, like upfront. And he organized this Moneymaker Summit in Central. Was there on Friday and yesterday, but I couldn't make it today due to other things that I was actually meant to do. And he was talking about why do you have to, he says savers are losers. That I know, right? But he explained it in a very different way. And then I was able to pick something totally different from, the way you see things. Like sometimes they tell you to save money in cash ISA. And he mentioned something to say, if you save your money in cash ISA, the cash ISA itself doesn't cover the inflation rate. I don't know if that makes sense. So currently the inflation rate in the UK is around 4%. And then cash ISA is offering around 3.8%. I'm using UK now as a context. The same thing applies also, for example, in Nigeria. The inflation rate in Nigeria is around, they said officially is around 19%. However, it's around 22%. So, and then if you put your money in treasury bills, you can't get 22%. If you put your money in IU savings account, you cannot get 22%, meaning your money will still be a bit short than the inflation rate. So over time, you're not really making profit. However, if you do it maybe for 2, 3, and then you leave the interest that was accumulated first, you might probably get a little bit over it. But will you be saving for like 3 years just because you want to save for emergency fund? It doesn't really make any sense. However, let's come back here. But you can still make use of the IU savings account and also more of like the cash ISA if it's the UK. For example, in Nigeria, they have some other platforms like OPay, Kuda, and the rest that they use to, IU savings account that you set up. So instead of losing about 22% of the purchasing power of your what you've saved to inflation, at least if you can get up to 19% or 17%, you're only losing maybe like 3% to 5%, which is still not, at least not really in a bad place, right? But it's still bad. So now the last phase, which is use wisely, meaning only use the fund for genuine emergencies to maintain its integrity. Meaning you don't take that money out and then start going to do shopping. That's not what it's meant for. It is meant to address things that came out of what you never prepared for. So that's the point. All right, so we'll move on. Now, insurance, because I said what we're basically focusing on is wills and insurance. And this is one of the areas that majority of families actually suffered from in Africa. If we have to be sincere with ourselves. Now, insurance doesn't remove risk because risk will surely come. No one has got what it takes to avert risk. It will come. It now depends on how is either you manage it, you mitigate it, you transfer it, or you reduce it. But when it comes to insurance, you transfer the risk. And I'll explain that later on as we go on. Now, what is insurance? So what it means is that it means transferring your risk to a company that promises to compensate you if a covered event like illness, sickness, accident, or damage happens. So for example, fire, incident, car accident, you fell sick, couldn't go to work due to maybe injuries or illness, or there's a damage or water damage in the house and things like that, you can basically claim, and also even life insurance, you can basically claim something back to compensate. So they compensate you if anything of sort basically happen. Now, let's look at this context, then we'll go into the full fledged of it. We have health insurance, life insurance, business insurance, content insurance, several kinds of insurance, right? And then we have different offerings around those insurance packages. So, for example, the authority that manages that kind of handles that in Nigeria is NHIA, which is the National Health Insurance Authority. And then under that, we have some other private plans that run within the structure. So, for example, they have good HMOs. There is one called Reliant HMO, where you can take health, what's it called packages for yourself as individual or for the family. You pay some premium amount on a monthly basis, and then just in case anything happens to anyone, they can go for medication. They can give them prescriptions without paying for it. Meaning your HMO is actually covered what you can get on a monthly basis, which is pretty much on a good side. That is for maybe for an individual or for a family that maybe experience some level of maybe illness or whatsoever the case is. For life insurance, it ensures families to get financial support if something suddenly happens to any of maybe the mom, the dad, or whatever the case is. At least the family won't be left out without anything. And then if you look at a good example, you put on like 5,000. I'm just using that in context. 5,000 naira a monthly plan could secure you more of like between 2 to 5 million naira coverage. Sometimes people will say, "Oh, it's not possible because most of these they can't be trusted." Because when it gets to when you're meant to when they are meant to take care of their own side, then they will tell you are not eligible, and then maybe they have some fine prints as part of the terms and conditions, which you never thought of, or you didn't properly read your agreement or contract that you signed, and then you lose all your money, right? Which happens a lot in places that we come from. However, there are good institutions, like known institutions that handle things professionally, and then that you are sure of for what you pay for. If you read your terms and conditions properly, or you understand what you're paying for, you surely get the service when due, just in case something happens. Now we have business insurance that protects your business, your shops, your stores, your inventories, operations, and all that. Now let's look at it from this point of view. One sec. I want to take this thing off so that you can see the top side of it. Now look at this. Insurance, the types of insurance, and also the categories. Health insurance covers medical expenses and health needs. Business insurance. Now, property insurance. So, for example, in the UK, you have home insurance, right? And also is the same way also in Nigeria or in other countries. But the most important thing is to know what you are due, or what you think, what you know you should get, what your rights are, what you believe you should get, and what you are entitled to, just in case something happens. Now, think about this. I didn't mention the rest. So education insurance, so you've most like funds future educational expenses. You can do it for your children, and you start putting money into the account on a monthly basis. I know that Sterling Bank does that. First Bank does that. Stanbic IBTC does that. And I believe other nations too. When you check through, you'll be able to find those insurance packages or products made available for individuals who are interested. Vehicle insurance is basically some of the most common ones that people know. Now, if you look at the life insurance, the funny part of it is, when as soon as you mention life insurance, be it life or term life, people basically will say, never, that will never be my portion. Life insurance to do what? Am I planning to die? Have you heard of things like that?
Yes. Yes.
So why do you think people say that?
Yes.
Even
Why
we
do you
have
think
said
people say
it.
that?
I think
And
even we have said it. I think they just try to. I think it's just the mindset I have that if you start doing that, they'll start calculating for you to die. It's just my mindset.
So mindsets, and that was why we when we started this 6 week, the first session, which was the week 1, was we focused on financial psychology, because that's the most powerful weapon of all. If you are strong with the rest and psychologically you're not balanced in terms of how to understanding who you are, and also knowing that, oh, this is the way I kind of reason when it comes to managing money, or this was basically the way I grew up, and this is actually more of like, it's placed me in a position where it's affecting the way I reason with, or the way I relate with money. The tendency that the person will crash is really high. So what we dealt with in the first session, which was week 1, was financial psychology, being able to address things from a place of cultural, family, foundational, um, and also different values and beliefs, point of view, as to knowing how one was actually raised. You know, there are some homes, they will tell you, oh, money is the root of all evil. Don't go close to it. Money is not good. Money is this, money is that, those rich people, and this and blah, blah, blah. So when you grow up with such mentality, when they speak about money, you'll be like, nah, those people, they are too greedy, they are too. So when you are saying they are too greedy, they are too wicked, they are too this, that means what you're saying is the rich people, and then I am not a rich person. I am not thinking of becoming one. So as soon as your mind aligns with you not becoming one, that means you've been knocked off already. It's like saying you're fighting Mike Tyson. You have no chance to win, because you have personally or psychologically, you've knocked yourself off. So what's the tendency of you becoming somebody who's going to hold funds? It's not possible, because by yourself, you've defeated yourself. All right, cool. If we move on to the next, this is continuation of it. So now I'm basically trying to flesh it out. So if you go back here, you see health insurance, business insurance, property insurance, life insurance, vehicle insurance, education insurance. Now, if we come here, you see it now in full fledged. So if we go back to the life insurance, why? It's a question. Now you can attend to the question. Why is it that we insure every other thing? We do home insurance. We do phone insurance. So if we pick up a new phone, the new iPhone or the new Galaxy, whatever, sorry, is it Galaxy or Google, whatever, Pixel 11 or 10 or whatever the case is, we insure it, right? We insure our content in our various homes. We insure our car. But the life itself, that life that every other thing sits on, because it's the existence that keeps all the other insurance going. So if that existence is gone, how do you manage the other insurance, various insurance that you have? So the life itself, you said, no, it's not necessary. Why should I insure my life? No, I don't want that. Please, that will never be my portion, and I don't want that. But you can insure every other thing. That means that person is actually being, don't worry, let's move on. But I believe you understand what I mean. So that's to tell you how critical life insurance is, because it's not basically just for you, it's for everyone around you. There is this documentary that I watched on YouTube, and then they were discussing about how insurance, people not having insurance, what they went through in terms of the ordeal they went through as a family, a devastated situation, a shattered home, a destroyed household, just because the husband did not put an insurance, life insurance scheme in place, or the wife did not factor that in whilst alive. So when they died, the whole issue came back now on the family. So one of the providers, so either the male or the female, gone, so the whole weight is come back to one. And then she needs to carry the whole weight of the household, or he now needs to carry the whole weight of the household. However, if the person has been able to insure himself or herself with £10, £20, £30, whatsoever the case is, that would have given a cushion, even if it is little, that would basically support the people left behind, the loved ones left behind, so that they can take care of some needs. So when I watched that documentary, I was like, wow, these are different scenarios, different issues that people basically go through, So now if you look at the health insurance, I decided more of like break it down this way. These are different organizations or institute or the kind of categories. These are more of like the categories. The other ones basically the type and a little bit of category, but this is the category of it. So if you look at health insurance, life insurance, but the category of health insurance is more of like this organizations that handles that. In terms of life insurance, you have term policy, you have life cover, so till death. Then term is for a period of time. Let's say you decide to like insure life insurance for maybe like, or a term life insurance for maybe 10 years, 20 years, or maybe you want to do it until the children are grown, and then when they are grown and everyone is out of the house, you decide to reduce or you stop it, whatever the case is. But that's for a period of time. And then you move on to business insurance for fire, for theft, just in case people come, they burgle your store, and the rest, those insurances are in place, even as low as 5,000 in Nigeria, for example. Inventory liability, vehicle insurance, you do third party, you do comprehensive, just in case anything happens, an accident or whatever the case is, they pay out. And then you can use that to repair your car, or they even take the car on, they repair it and they bring it back to you. Or if it is totally ripped off, if you're lucky enough, you get a new one. Then property insurance, house, land, equipment. Then you move on to education. You set up like education, child education policy or fund, which takes care of all that. So these are different insurance types and also the categories. Now, think of this, and that's what I mentioned earlier. Regarding, do you know that for just 8,000 naira a year, a trader can insure 1 million naira worth of goods? So just in case something happens, and all you paid is basically 8,000, but somebody will like, why should I pay 8,000 naira? What would 8,000 naira do to you? Or what would 10,000 naira do to you in a year? You even use it at a sitting. You just buy something for friends at a sitting, but you decided not to be able to insure your goods for that amount, and then something happens, people boggle, and this happens, and then they do some level of investigation, they realize it wasn't from you, it was actually truly people came and boggled, you'll be paid that. But just because the person is ignorant, or the person decided to not to do it, they get burnt. So when fire hits, she get compensated, while others start from zero, because the difference between someone who is doing and the person who decided not to do, or didn't even have a clue that things like that is in place, is the knowledge. One knows, the other doesn't. So just because there is a level of information that the person is basically open to, generated that. And then for paying that, the person was able to secure goods worth 1 million naira with 8,000, with 10,000, whatsoever the case is, for the year, not just for the month. And that is in place, but people don't know. But those that knows, they go for it. All right, so now building legacy, wills, and estate planning. This is more kind of structured here in the West than in our terrain. However, I've seen families go through this pain over and over and over and over, and they never do anything about it. And I believe the same thing applies to us. We must have seen this, isn't it? Writing a will doesn't invite death. It guarantees the direction. And that's just what it does. This is what I have. This is what I've structured. This is what I want to go to this party. This is what I want to be kept. This is where I want this rest to go. And by the time they come up with that, because it's signed, it's sealed, and it's delivered, everybody will respect themselves. But if there is nothing in place, that's how you see homes shattered. And I believe we personally, individually, for each and every one of us, we've had such situations. We've seen such situations where a breadwinner died, and then the family turns into a proper Royal Rumble or WrestleMania situation. Have we come across anything like that? Sorry, please.
Yes. Heard of it, seen the consequences.
Sorry?
Heard of it, seen the consequences, as in children can stop going to school completely
Yeah,
upon the
definitely.
death of
All right.
their father. Yeah.
Yes. So in many occasions, death to father, wife, and then children kick in, families will kick in, external factors will kick in, death begins to linger, a lot of stuff. Family shattered, enmity on the rise, and things like that. So if you lack of will, if a family doesn't have a will in place, be it from the husband or be it from the wife, one, if there is, because death doesn't knock on anyone's doors, right? It doesn't tell anyone when it's coming. It comes because it's appointed to everyone to what? To die. But the time is unknown. But what we believe, for example, in our own case as a believer, we are to live till good old age, right? However, having a will in place is one of the best financial decisions you can ever make, because even the GOs, they have it. The GOs, they have it structured long ago, but they don't talk about wills in church. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
They don't talk about
Yes.
wills in church.
Yes.
God will take care of it. God
Yes.
doesn't take care of things he's giving us authority over. God doesn't take care of things that we ought to take care of, because he said, whatever he tells you to do, do it. So, one, asset battle. Relatives fight over assets. Two, faction formation. Family breaks into factions. You have 2 people here, you have 4 people there, you have 3 people there, and then it becomes a competition. Then before you know, you say Jack and Jones, one is dead. Oh, the second is assassinated. The third is gone mad. This, and just funny situations here and there. Legacy loss. Everything established disappears. So you won't see a family that was in control of things just because things were not structured. You just realize over time, you'll be like, oh, I used to know there used to be this family. What happened? And somebody would tell, oh, that something like this happened when the wife died. The family started fighting, the household got whatever. When the man died, that's what you hear. And then the house becomes a shadow of itself. Quickly. Now, steps to secure a legacy is as simple as it is. 1, 2, 3, 4. But basically, we'll break it down from step 1 to step 3. Draft basic will. A good example is in the UK, will cost about £100. In some places, it's basically about £30. There are some organizations that they do it for free. I know of CAP, Christian Against Poverty. At some point, they do wills for people for free. But people won't still get it because my people perish for lack of understanding. In Nigeria, it doesn't cost a blood. But people don't even want to think about, like, why should I write a will? Why should I get a will in place? Am I thinking of dying? But surely the person is going to die. I'm saying it as it is. I don't want to quote it. If anyone is looking for a good man, they should go search for an ice cream seller. You know, basically everyone is a friend to an ice cream seller. Have you noticed that?
Yes.
An ice cream man, everybody loves an ice cream man. I don't want everyone to love me. No. Because when you say it as it is, it touches bad places. And which is good. Because that will cure the person's, everyone has got a level of madness, and that madness needs to be cured with either the right kind of dose of information, of knowledge, or the right kind of dose of prescriptions. Now, draft a will. Create a simple document outlining your wishes. 2, specify assets. Clearly just list and allocate your possessions. No one will stop you from listing your possession. No one can. Appoint an executor. Just choose a reliable person to manage your estate. It doesn't really matter, you need to contract it, whatever. You can use a lawyer. Let there be a third-party representative that is legally recognized, right? And then if one wants to go for that in terms of proper estate planning, we're not covering that here. But proper estate planning, that one is pretty much like on advanced level, and everyone basically can still have that because it's good. You have things structured, how the money should be spent, the allocation, how you want it to be allocated to whoever, children, extended family, charity, or whatever the case is, the portion that should be given on a yearly basis. Everything can basically be structured through estate planning. Now, the 4th level, which is informed family. Discuss your plans with your loved ones. This is where we get it wrong as Africans. Because just like what Sis Lydia said, as soon as you mention it, be like, oh, so someone might pretty much be thinking how to kill the person quickly so that they can okay. So that they can inherit the person's wealth. However, you can decide not to discuss, but they should know that there is something like that in place. So if something like that happens, the third party, maybe a lawyer or whatsoever that is contracted, the business that was contracted to, then that can be activated. Then they can now, break things down, come meet with the family, the representative, discuss with them, structure things out. This is what the person is planned. This is how the person is planned it. This is how the person said it should be distributed. This should go to this should go to that, and it is legally binding, sorry. So nobody can now say, no, my own is ABC. I don't want XYZ. Nah, this is what is allocated to you, and that's what you're going to get. If you're not getting anything, then you're not getting anything. And no one fights anyone. You get. All right, so move on to the next. Now, step 1, will and legacy planning, just to put more of like a checklist in place. This is not, it's just one of like a way to kind of structure out a framework. Now you see there is an asset type, a description. If it is funds, whatever in an account, is the location, the approximated value, and not also the ownership status. If it is not owned by you alone, if it is owned by joint people, or maybe joint ownership, and the rest, you can list out the list and the names or the beneficiaries, and then put your own, what your percentage is and the percentage of the others, so that they don't elope with your investment or with your assets. So on the asset type, you can see land, bank account, properties, investments, vehicles, personal items, and heirlooms, right? On the description side, you can see it's stated more of like description related to the land. If it is accounts, the list of accounts. If it is investment, is it in bonds, in stocks, in gold, in mutual funds, whatever the case is listed out. If it's Bitcoin, it's listed out. If it's vehicles, the number of vehicles, the area, the kind of vehicles. If it is personal items, all will be stated. The location, the storage for the personal items, all will be structured out. And then when it comes to the approximated value, you can structure what the estimated value of what the items, the properties, or whatsoever the collections are. And then the ownership status. If you own it solely, it's going to be stated solely. If it is joint ownership, it's going to be stated as joint ownership, and so forth, and so on. Now, the step 2 is the beneficiaries and also the executors, meaning they need to know. How does that work? There is a level of distribution, how those you want to kind of benefit from your inheritance, or from your assets, or whatever the case is. The name, the relationship with the persons, the inheritance, and also the share you want to go to the particular person or family or charity, or whatever the case is. The contact information of those individuals and also the businesses. And then the person you want to execute it. Do you want it to be executed, yes or no? If you don't want it to be executed, if you put no, that means that won't be executed, right? And then the step 3, which is still around the beneficiaries and also the executors. One, as I said, if you remember the first, how to be able to secure a reasonable legacy, right? First is create the will with legal assistance. And that was the reason why I mentioned having a legal backing in place, made more of like what's it called? A legal practitioner house or household kind of can deal with that. 2, you appoint the executor, so you choose a reliable individual or reliable individuals to manage your estate. 3, you keep the signed copies in a secure location, so meaning they have, you also have. And then when that time comes, and then the person is no more, or even before the person maybe dies or whatever the case is, sometimes people might decide to say, you know what, I kept something like this here. Have a look, keep it, because something like this is going to come up soon, and then you can put that in place, right? Tell a trusted person about your will. That is very key. Your husband, your wife, your sons, your daughters, or whatever the case is, so that they are aware. Not that family members will come and then start throwing tantrums everywhere, or even children will come and start misbehaving one way or the other. So that wouldn't be the case, all right? And then the 4th is to regularly review. So you update your will every, we have whichever way you want to do it, but sometimes in the standard way or whatever, every 2 years or after any significant event. Now we've come towards the end of the session, but there are things to remember. 1, you need to plan before problem come, because that problem won't come is a lie. The way we live and the way we survive and the way we scale through things is by surviving, or is by overcoming problems, by overcoming challenges. And then financial peace starts with preparation, not reaction. You don't need to react to it. When you prepare towards it and it happens, then you have the buffer to be able to address it. But if you don't plan, they said one who plans, who fails to plan, plans to fail, right? So, but when you prepare towards something, when you think about the future and plan towards that, when the effect comes, you have what it takes to be able to buffer it or to cushion it, right? And then 2, protect what you have built. You cannot build something over decades, and then one will now use ignorance or foolishness to destroy it. Because you can own so much wealth, and just because insurance is not in place, or will is not in place, or a proper structured estate planning is not in place, the whole thing will basically just crumble. That's how you see nations That's how you see empires crumble, just because a proper estate planning or will and all that isn't in place. So use insurance and smart planning to secure your family's future. And then the third one, which is one of the most critical one, is think long term. I've decided in all things that I do to think long term. I don't know why, but I think it's basically is the best way to kind of address things, and the best way for me is actually working for me. Because anyone who thinks short term, the tendency that the person will lose track and the person will fail or the person will crash is high. Because if it is short term and then you hit that target, what happens? What then happens? Then you now need to have to live the rest of your life on uncertainties. So real wealth isn't what you earn today, but what you deserve, what you preserve for tomorrow. And that's just the reality. Real wealth isn't what you earn today, but what you preserve for tomorrow. It is in the tomorrow. What's his name? Warren Buffett, as it was said, actually became properly wealthy in his 60s. He used to be very wealthy, right? From his youth, right? Youthful age. But when he actually entered that realm of wealth, like they say, wealthy, it was in his 60s. And he's maintained it till today. And he's one of the most celebrated investors in the world till today. So those are the three things that I think we need to kind of remember. And that brings us to the end of the session. I'll say thank you. And then there are some resources. I can basically share this. I don't know if you want me to share it via the link so you can basically open it, but I believe many of us are not in Nigeria. But I think it's only Eugene that is in Nigeria, I believe, for now. So I'm still going to share the recordings to those that maybe couldn't make it due to the confusion in time. So we'll leave it as it is. Now, questions. Time for questions. And as we're doing, please, I want to share. I shared something earlier. If you go onto the chat, as you're asking questions, you can click that and basically just fill the what's it called? Fill the survey form. So that we basically just use that to map out where we are, what we've been able to do, more of like to measure the performance and also how it worked for the participants, and then see where we can make changes. So you can go ahead, click the survey, and then just fill it. It's pretty much about 6 questions, questionnaires, sorry.
Is it on the WhatsApp group?
No, here. Just look at the chat, the Zoom, the chat.
Okay.
Yeah, so questions.
So can I ask, please? Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
So I'd like to know your view on increasing income via side hustles. So
sorry, I didn't get that.
Sorry?
I didn't get that.
Okay, so sometimes, okay, at least for me, let me speak for myself. Sometimes by the time the month is finished, the competing expenses are more than what I earn. And I was wondering, so I wanted to increase income via side hustles, but I was also advised that side hustles take focus away from the main thing. So I want to know what your opinion is on side hustles, because in a way it feels like life is just going, every month, meet bills, move on, but
Okay, so
you don't grow.
somebody said to you that somebody said if you start a side hustle, it will distract you from your main work.
From the main thing, yeah, and that it dilutes focus and yeah. But I was wondering what your opinion is.
Sorry, can I ask a question?
Yes,
Who said that? A friend?
a friend, yes.
Pack your bags, delete the person's number on your phone, and run.
Okay.
I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you don't stay around people who would basically pull you down, because let's be sincere with ourselves. It's not
Yeah.
really the best of things to basically hang on. If you've got what it takes to do something else, to do something on the side,
Yeah.
please, as much as you
Yeah.
can, just jump on it. If you can jump onto 2, onto 3, onto 5, we've got people who are on 10 and they still do their work. They
Wow.
still work. Yes. So the point is
Wow.
this. The point is this. They said
Yeah.
the company you keep would basically
Yeah.
determine what accompanies you. So if you are around, it's as simple as it is. If you're around people who say meh, 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 all the time, and then you want to
Yeah.
do something and they're telling you, what are you doing? It's not going to work.
Yeah.
It's not going to help you. You're disturbing yourself.
Yeah.
Most of these things, they don't work.
Yeah.
Just pack your things and run away from people like that, because those are people who are very pessimistic. And those who are
Yeah.
pessimistic don't go far. It's as simple as it is. There is no emotions attached to it.
Yeah.
It is your life, right? Some people, they
Yeah.
just want to go to work, come back home,
Yeah. Yeah.
glue to their Netflix and watch series.
Yeah.
And then till midnight, they go to bed, they wake up the next day and jump to work again. Because, okay, let's look at it this way. You're going to work,
Yeah.
you're actually exchanging your skills for you
Yeah.
exchanging your skills and your time for money, for income.
Yeah.
Meaning is the number of hours that you put into the work they pay you based on what they think you should be paid.
Yeah.
Now, that doesn't mean that's actually what you are worth.
Yeah.
Do you see the irony now? For the fact that they pay you
Yes.
50,000, 70,000 pounds, it doesn't mean that's basically what you're worth. Your worth could basically be 500,000 pounds. But just because we've
Yeah.
not been able to see ourselves in that context, and then you look at it and say, you know what, I'm a 50,000 pounds person, so let me just sit here,
Yeah.
just because somebody is determining what you should earn. However,
Yeah.
if you start something by the side, maybe based on what you
Yeah.
love doing, based on what
Yeah.
you are good at, and it's not really what you
Yeah.
need, what you're using at work. Okay, let's say for example, you teach. Let's say you
Yeah.
teach, right? And then you teach in a school
Yeah.
and you're teaching physics and chemistry. Let's for example.
Yeah.
And then you now realize that aside teaching in class, you also love sharing knowledge,
Yeah.
and you are good at sharing knowledge because you have a very good soft skills, like so. And then you set up something, for example, on TikTok or like on YouTube, and you took it as one of
Yeah.
your hobbies, right? And you just share the
Yeah.
things you know, and then maybe over a period of time, you begin to rack in followers, and then people started loving your content, and then you have another channel
Yeah.
on YouTube, and then you started creating
Yeah.
content. Whilst creating the
Yeah.
content, then people you were able to hit the threshold, and you got more than 1,000 subscribers or 500 subscribers,
Yeah.
and then YouTube started paying you based
Yeah.
on what you love doing. Now you're doing
Yeah.
it because you love it. No one is conditioning
Yeah.
you to not to do it. You're doing it willingly and selflessly, and then you're loving it. And then afterwards, over a period of time, They started paying you. And then people started asking you questions. Please, can you teach me this? Oh, can you show me this?
Yeah.
And then you decided to set up a master class on maybe for beginners on this. You started a business. Okay, let me give you a good example. You know, I mentioned it on when we had the discussion. I said, you said you work, you do 9 to 5. You are a 9 to 5er. You are actually running a business. Because before you got into the job, you prepare your CV, you put all the necessary keywords, you structured all that out. You sent out your CV. A business called you. That means a client called you based on what they saw on your CV. You negotiated, they discussed, you had an interview. You negotiated, you agreed, and then they're now paying you based on what you are offering. What you are offering is a service. They are paying you for your offerings as a worker for their business. So you are doing a business within a business. So who now says you cannot do something else and still make money? Because you have an idea that can become a verifiable idea, that can become an identifiable idea, that can become a scalable idea. And then you start it. So the major thing is just let people go. Those that are not adding to you are not meant to stay with you. It's not necessary. When you were born alone. You didn't come with someone. Yourself and your friend were not born the same day.
That's correct.
You understand? So you didn't wear Pampers by the same mom. You were raised differently. You met somewhere. So who says you're going to be together till 70 years or 80 years? Their chapter will come, their chapter will end, possibly. So why would you be bothered about someone else's state of mind? Trying to now, you know, I don't know how to put it. Okay, let me just put it in. I'm saying it because it's basically videoed, right? But if I have to say it straight as it is, you know, I told you I'm not an emotional person. I empathize with people. Because life is not emotional. Life is never emotional. And money is not emotional. Money is not your friend. Money is a good servant, but money is not your good friend. If you don't manage it well, it's going to make a mess of the person. But if you send it on a very good errand, is good as your service. It can go on an errand. It's actually good at that. So it's your servant, not your friend. So that's the same way it applies. You've got all it takes to start whatever you want to start. And don't think about, oh, I'm going to fail. Failing is part of the process. Yeah, it's good. It's even good to fail. When you fail forward. It's very simple. It's good to fail because if you don't fail, the way we're conditioned in school is, oh, you have to pass it. You have to pass it. If you don't pass it, you fail it. Oh, you have to pass it. You have to write it this way. If you don't write it this way, you fail. So by the time we left school, the same mindset is still with us. So when we go to places of work, we don't want to fail. Oh, I need to do it. I don't want them to tell me I failed. I don't care. In my own case, I don't care. I have to do it. I'll do it to the best of my knowledge. If they say it's not good enough, I'll do it again. But I won't stop doing it. And that's the same principles I bring into investing and into doing every other thing that I do. I just want to do it. I learn it today. I try it tomorrow. I fail. I'll be like, oh, good, great. That's fine. Then I'll move on to the next phase again. Oh, I failed on this part. Oh, what did I do wrong? Oh, that I did this wrong. Okay, great. Then I'll move on again. Sometimes people will tell me, why do you have to spend money on something you didn't get through it? No, I want to get it done. Then I'll pay for it again. Then I'll pay for it again. Then I'll get it. So I believe that answers the question. Please, just whatever you want to do, please start it today. Today.
Thank you so much.
If you're finding it difficult, if you have an idea, let me give you one. I'll do it for you for free. If you have an idea, we'll structure it out. I'll give you a 4-page, 3-page, 2-page, 2 pages of straight bullets how to execute it.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
for free.
Thank you very much. Yeah.
So that's what it is. All right. Any other one? Any other person?
Thank you very much.
I also have a question.
No worries, man.
Yeah, thank you
Yeah,
for. I've learned a lot. Thank you so much, sir, for this.
you're welcome, my sis.
Yeah, mine is the ISA's investments. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So Isa,
yeah.
yeah. Oh, the Isa and the Lisa, right?
Yes, I want to invest. Yeah, and
Okay.
also
So
the life insurance, because someone
yeah,
told me that someone said for the life insurance, if you're 40, that becomes more expensive. But if you start before you're 40, that is it that I don't really understand what they were saying. Like, is that it's cheaper and it's is
madam.
it okay?
Either you are 40, you are 50. It doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Okay, okay.
Just start with what you can. That's
Oh,
all. Sometimes they will tell you, oh, you can even get a £10 monthly plan,
okay. That's for
£15
the
monthly plan,
life insurance.
depending on what the premium you want, or depending on the premium you want. That's what is going to show how much you're going to pay monthly. Like in my
Okay.
own case, I have four different insurance. Is it
Wow.
4 or 3? Yeah, life
All
insurance.
all is life insurance.
No one. Life
Mm,
insurance, injury,
okay.
income protection,
Okay.
and I think I've forgotten the fourth one. Either 3, yeah, basically like 3.
Okay.
I know it should be like 4, but I know 3. So I mentioned 3 straight away.
Okay.
So income protection, life insurance, injuries. I have the 3. So whichever way it's coming from, because see, this reality is the truth.
Mm,
I'm still referring back to it.
mm.
All the geos, they have insurance.
Yes, I know.
All the imams, they have life insurance.
Mhm. Yeah, and their children are the next of kin. Yeah.
Even the herbalists, they have life insurance.
Mhm.
Even the animalists, they have life insurance.
True.
So don't hey, then my people perish for lack of
Knowledge.
understanding.
Yes.
He said, walk with the wise and you shall be wise.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
But for those who dwell with the foolish, they find themselves in the congregation of the dead.
Mm.
Oh.
That Proverbs is stuck. It's
Mm.
stuck with me like rice and beans.
Mm.
Walk with the wise and you shall be wise. But when you dwell with foolish people, I'm using that word foolish because we're not meant to call people foolish, right?
Mm.
But
Mm.
the scripture
Yeah.
says, not me. Says the scripture says when you dwell with the foolish, you find yourself in the congregation of the dead. The dead doesn't mean that the person is actually dead, outrightly dead,
Mm.
but you actually dwelling with the dead because they are not going places.
Wow.
And then they will mortal you into continuously, they will rob you into. It's just like you you're trying to you're trying to interact with a pig inside its dwelling place. You find yourself in a very bad, you'll be sorry for yourself,
Mm.
because no matter how you shine a pig, the pig is still going to get dirty.
Yes.
There is no way, even if you bring the pig into your house, the pig will find its way into the toilet.
Mm.
It's as simple as it is. But if you go for light, you get light. The light may be dim, you get light. Then from the dim light, you get a bright light. Then from the bright light, you get a brighter light. That's the reason why the scripture says that our paths get shining brighter
Mm.
and brighter and brighter unto the perfect day.
Yes.
So I don't just take scriptures literally. I apply it to everything I see, everything I do.
Yeah.
It's as simple as it is. But there is so much benefit when it comes to gaining, when it comes to embracing light. He said, "Thy word is a lamp to my feet." Why is it a lamp to my feet? Why not a lamp to my teeth? Because if there is no light if you're walking in a path and there is no light, the tendency you walk astray is high.
Yes.
But when the day is
Yeah.
bright, you walk a pathway to your children's school. You took a path, but walk that path in the night, and there is no touch. It's as funny as it is. So the scripture is a living word, and that living word is to let us live our life the way God has proposed it. So regarding the insurance thing, just do it. There is no age limit as to you have. Okay, let's say for example you are 40. That is just the same way Madam Etel saying her own now. Somebody is telling you if you are 40, from 40 is not expensive. So what do you do? So you shouldn't do it because now you're 40 and it's not expensive. But the person can go eat Burger King, and then they can go to German kebab, and then they can go with their friends when they're having birthdays and then buy birthday gifts, but they can't pay insurance for their own life. And afterwards, their legs will get broken and then no insurance for it. I'm just saying. So age it has nothing, it's not respecter of age. It's a thing one should have because it's part of the things that builds your financial future. It's not just for today, it's for things you don't totally have control over tomorrow. Like in my own case, I don't worry myself about things that I don't have control over. I don't know if that makes sense. I
Yeah,
don't
it
worry
does.
myself about things I don't have control over. The way I have control over it is because I've committed it into the hands of God, and then I do my own part. When I know that I have to do my own part, I don't bother about it. It's just like saying I'm in Nigeria and then the PACN they took light. Will I go to their office and beat them up? No, it's not gonna. What's my business with it? I'll go and switch on the generator, or I'll use the solar. That I have control over it. But what they switched off from the grid, I don't have control over it. Let them bring it whenever they want to switch it on again. But before they do, I've got plan B. The plan B is I'll switch on the solar. I'll put the generator on. I'll buy fuel, put the generator on, and that solves it until they decide to if they decide not to switch it on, that's their business. Yeah. So that's just the way it is. We have to look at things from a different point of view so that we can change where we are. You know?
Thank you, sir. So,
Yeah.
like life insurance, like in the UK, what kind of
Yeah.
what are is it the financial institutions one can invest in? Like, you know, like me, I use Lloyd's Bank several times. They've sent me all those is to me, I say it as advertisements. Like, do
Okay.
these,
Insurance, right?
yeah, life insurance, yeah.
And income protection also, please.
Please,
Yeah.
that income protection, I want to ask. Okay, for me now, I'm a care worker.
Yeah.
As in, my income is not.
So
It's just up
should I
and
stop the
down.
recording or I should leave it? I should leave it.
You
Let me
can
stop
stop.
the
You can
recording,
stop
right?
the recording. You can stop the recording.
All right, cool.
Yeah. So my
1 sec.
income is okay.
1 sec.